Well everyone, what's the crack? And welcome back to episode number 15 of the Inline G Flute podcast with me, your host, motherfucking Inline G. As the video watchers can see, we are not in the Inline G podcast studio. We are taking this podcast on the road for the very first time. I am in beautiful, sunny Belfast, sunny of all things, to record some interviews with some very special guests. So this week's episode and next week's episode, and hopefully the episode after, will be guests. The episode you're about to watch, number 15, is with my good friend Zach Trouton. My best friend, probably my best friend. You'll be tuning into that in just a few seconds, but before we do that, I wanted to get some housekeeping out of the way so you can have an uninterrupted experience with Zach and I. So this episode is recorded from the Sunflower Bar, a gorgeous bar in Belfast city centre, as you can see from the background here. It's one of my favourite pubs. It is a fucking pleasure to be able to record here. I've been drinking in this bar for many years, and the recorded podcast up here is a pleasure. It's an absolute delight, and I'm so happy to be able to do it. We have two guests from here, so Zach will be up now, and then next week we'll have someone else, which you'll find out soon. In this episode with Zach, we're going to be talking about our experiences together as musicians, the groups we had together, and of course Zach's band at the minute. Zach sings with a very perfect, that's probably the best word, a very perfect folk trio called Trouton from Belfast. They've just released their second album, and yeah, I thought it'd be great fun to get Zach on the podcast. He's probably the best musician I've ever met in my life, and I really don't exaggerate that. He's a wonderful musician, he's a wonderful lad. We had a couple of pints and chatted about things, so I'm going to play that for you guys now. Before I do, the last thing to remind you about is, if you want to donate to the Inline G Food Podcast, you can do that now. This podcast is free, this podcast will always be free. You will not get more content for signing up to a Patreon or any shit like that. It's always free. But if you would like to contribute to the podcast to help keep the lights on around this place, well, not this place, but you know, or to help towards costs, you can do so. There is a link in the bio here. There's also a link on my Instagram bio, etc., etc. You can find it. You can donate a couple of quid. I would recommend whatever the price of a Dr. Pepper or a pint costs in your country, send that over to me. If you send that once a month maximum, it's hugely appreciated, and lets me make a bit of money off this podcast so I can dedicate more time and more effort into it. So anyway, I'm going to leave you guys now. Enjoy this episode with the one and only Zach Trouton. What are you drinking?
Radler. The sun's out in Belfast, so it's Radler time.
You're gigging tonight as well, aren't you?
Mm-hmm.
Are we allowed to talk about your gig, or is that the secret gig? No, we can't tell people what it is. It'll be done by the time this comes out.
It's one of them. We've decided to sell out. We're playing
Pure corporate. Well, by the time this comes out, you'll have done the gig anyway, because it's tomorrow this comes out. So
yeah, so it's one of those corporate ones where it's just
take the
money
cash
and run.
Yeah.
And hotel room and all that sort of crack. And
I know you were saying about getting
10 minutes away, but
getting put up in a hotel room and you live 5 minutes around the corner. What a life, man! I've never got a hotel room out of a gig. I don't think.
What? You're in the wrong.
Classical music, man. There's no money in that. We're very poor.
You need the folk.
Have I got a? I don't think I've ever stayed in a hotel because of a gig. I got booked a hotel to do a gig and lost all the money that I got paid. But I've never. I don't think I've ever got. That'd be nice.
It's good. It's good when it happens.
I can imagine. Right, let's get our notes up here. This is the most unorganised of my series of podcasts today. I've got 3 guests on, and this one we're kind of winging this one. We should know because we know each other pretty well at this point.
How long?
We're not
25. Quarter century.
Get our anniversary soon. Is it? It'd be a bit longer, wouldn't it? No, because we knew each other. When did you start school?
5. P2 I came in, was that 5? 5 or 6?
You came in at P2, you were out in America first, weren't you?
Born in America, but then born in Boston, then moved to Ballymena.
Sounds like a Snow Patrol song.
And I was thinking I've only ever lived in places beginning with B. Boston, Ballymena,
Lisburn.
Well, Ballad.
Oh yeah, true.
Ballad, Belfast.
True, yeah.
Except for Cardiff.
So what's next? Bahamas.
This
is a geography podcast now as well. He's got everything in this. So yeah, we've known each other 25 years, we'll say, quarter of a century. Zach and I, we went to school together, went to Ballycarrigmany, the other B, get that one in there, Ballycarrigmany Primary School. Went to high school together by chance because we both got A's in our 11 plus, so we went to high school together.
Oh, really? Yeah.
6th year together, we studied music. We both went to Cardiff together for our undergrad, studied music together, lived together there, and now you're in B for Belfast and I'm in K for Cologne.
I was gonna
Well, K for Cologne, not for Cologne. Fuck's sake. Yeah, this is the second episode today, and I've had a few pints already. God help the weekend is on after this. Fuck. That episode will be coming out, so you can look forward to that one. So yeah, we've known each other 25 years. We've always done music together as well.
Yeah, music's always been. Were we doing music in primary school together? It's just I remember being in.
Did you ever play at assembly?
Was it a recorder?
I played flute. I played. These are my favourite things. You know, these are a few of my favourite things.
I think I remember that.
When the dog bites. Do you remember singing that in school as well?
Yeah, in the choir. I think first sort of music was choir in primary school, but I didn't really get into music until I actually remember. That's what it was.
Do you know what?
Summer after P7.
Well, I'll tell you even better. I know my brother was celebrating it. School of Rock came out 20 years ago last weekend.
There you go.
There you are, last Saturday.
Yeah, so
20-year anniversary. So you are. 20 years since School of Rock came out.
And I remember that summer. I think it was pretty sure it was the summer after P7. So on to big boy school after, my whole life ahead of me, and School of Rock came out.
And that was it.
And
you got cool.
Well, it was just out before the DVD was out, and I got the DVD, and I remember I watched the DVD every day, but not the full movie every day. Well, sometimes, but I would fast forward all the bits, all the class.
What was your favourite bit?
You know when he's writing. So my dad had a guitar sitting around, so that's when I started picking up a guitar. But that scene, there's so many great ones. The scene where he's writing, it's like a montage.
And what's the song in the background of that one? Fuck. Fuck.
Is it Ramones?
It is by the Ramones, that's it, yeah.
I can't remember that.
20 years ago. I was writing all the band
names and connecting them all and the genres and stuff. And I remember like pausing it there and then going, okay, I haven't listened to that band. Need to listen to them. Never heard of them.
That is so good. That is the most romantic start to a musical career I've ever heard. I started flute because I was taken to the flute band because I had to get me off the streets because I was dealing
the mean streets
of Studyboard. But you have that's a beautiful start. Watch School of Rock and then pausing it and listening to all the bands.
Yeah. And then the that we seen after the credits when they're kind of like jamming.
Oh yeah,
solos and stuff.
Is it the Dropkick Murphys? Is it?
No, it's
AC/DC. Long Way to the Top. You Want to Rock and Roll? Yeah. Oh, that was great. Yeah.
So it's slightly different. You were in flute bands, and I was in rock bands.
Yeah, we'll talk about the Protestant background later, but we'll get on to that. We've got a really great title for the episode as well. No, we'll not call it that. I'll delete that.
But yeah, so that was. So that's when because I did piano lessons just before that, it was okay, but never really. Actually, remember my last piano lesson that I had.
Yeah.
Because I really hated them, and it was on a Monday after school, and so the Sunday doom.
Yeah.
For going back to school the next day and then going straight to piano lessons.
Yeah.
That was tough. And I remember the last I'd cracked, had enough of the scales, and so Ma picked me up after school, drove me to the piano teacher, and she was a lovely lady, poor lady, and I sat outside her house, and I just started crying and refused to get out of the car. And Mum was like, "Zach, get out
of the car."
And then the teacher
paid for it.
Oh yeah, I know. Cool. She came out and tried to coax me out. She was like, "No, but we won't have to do the scales today." And I was like, "I'm not crying my eyes out." And that was the end of that.
That was that.
Yeah, so piano was actually my first instrument. But then,
and who would have thought you'd be a full-time musician now?
I know.
Well, look at that.
I should actually maybe get, maybe if I see her again, I can tell her.
But you've made money off playing piano as well. You're technically a professional pianist.
Oh, and a professional pianist. But
yeah, well, you made money off it. Isn't that the definition, isn't it? If you make money off it. You've played keys on quite a few tracks.
Yeah, well, played in a few groups over the years, and yeah, sometimes I'm on keys, which
that's a good little.
Not my strongest, but I can survive.
Oh, you can, Well, that's a good wee segue there. This podcast's taking a very natural direction, but a good wee segue. High school. What about your musical background in high school?
So then, whenever after school rock, it was just rock time. So it was just guitar. Started bands, playing in bands during.
What was the first band? Do you remember that you played in?
Postbox Theory.
I was going to ask about that. I don't know if I was going to mention that on this podcast. Genuinely, before I do mention it, is it on streaming services?
Oh no, that was MySpace.
Is it on MySpace still, do you reckon?
No, sure, MySpace is gone.
Is it entirely gone?
Yeah,
Like even the back catalogue and all?
You can't. I don't think you can.
So those recordings are gone?
Still got the CD.
Mr. Faulkner found the CD as well.
I know,
My High School Musical teacher, he found it. High School Musical teacher. We didn't get High School Musical lessons. We grew up in Ireland.
Yeah, but I was talking to someone about that recently, and that was such a formative experience because we were all, that was 14, 15, 16 maybe those years of that band.
Yeah.
And we were out gigging nearly most weekends.
That is incredible.
Shout out to Claudio Manso. His ma would be driving us around to play wee shite gigs. Armagh, Newry, Derry, wherever we could get a gig.
No shade on Armagh and Newry, but yeah.
And you know, we're going to these bars and we're underage, you know.
Were you allowed to play in the bar even if you're underage?
It was always like, that was always a risk, you know.
Yeah.
We booked the gig and they didn't ask, and then it was like, most of the time it was grand. Like, I don't think we had it.
Yeah, so just for a quick bit of context, because some people, believe it or not, might not be familiar with the Postbox Theory, the group. It was a group that Zach had started in school. I wasn't invited to play, but whatever. I was too busy playing Flute internationally, whatever. But it was a rock group. What kind of indie rock's not quite fair. Heavy rock's not quite alternative.
Sort
yeah.
Of like loved at that time. Loved like the early albums of like Biffy Clyro and stuff. Like that. So it was kind of ripping off as much all the stuff that we liked. Yeah. We were just ripping.
Just
off.
do it again. Yeah.
So I was guitar. There was four of us. I was guitar and singing. Claudio was guitar and singing. We had bass and drums.
Who was on bass? Was Dane on bass? Dane was, yeah. Okay, and then obviously the Postbox Theory went their different directions.
We saw that
artistic differences.
Yeah, it's well documented.
Yeah, it was. You were like the Jerry Halliwell of the group. You went solo. So what was next? What happened after that?
So next after I just going back to quickly going back to playing those gigs. I was just thinking about how formative those years of playing shit gigs.
Yeah.
Playing gigs where there's absolutely nobody there.
Yeah, and you just have to
and
blast
you're
through it.
15, 16 years old.
Yeah.
And the sort of the foundation that laid for pretty much all the gigs I've done since that is that
that's true. That's actually a really good point. Yeah.
Like
hauling gear around and setting up and playing for two people and going every weekend.
I suppose a lesson in there's nobody there. Just play. Just keep playing.
Yeah.
Just keep playing. And if
that's very true, actually, yeah.
And if a gig goes terribly and you're just shite and nobody likes you, it's not, you'll survive. It's not the end of the world.
Actually, you know, I just had the first girl I had on Asing Agnew. She grew up playing a flute band as well, and she was telling the story of how, like, when she was a kid, her teacher Billy Woody at the time would have been very much so like the minute you had a piece ready to go, you'd be like, right, come on into the bar. And he always taught at the Ivy Bar down in Belfast, and you just like, come on into the bar and play a few tunes for everybody, and you just got used to playing for people. And like when I played in flute bands, as soon as you got anything remotely playable, it was like, right, go on and play for someone. Away you go, just go into the living room, no piano or any of that shit, just get in and play a tune. And to be fair, I still rely on that now. Just that comfort of knowing I've done gigs. I don't like playing in someone's living room is still a gig, and I've done them a load of times, and it gives you that experience.
Absolutely. So I still think about those experiences because you never get away, no matter how far on you get or how good you feel you're becoming or whatever, you'll still always have shite gigs.
Yeah, you will.
And,
what was the last shite gig you had?
I don't know if I can say.
Okay, you can't say who you did it for, but what happened? Why was it shite?
Oh, hold on. There's definitely something.
Audience members or no one there or just not giving a shite?
Remember doing one, not say for who or where or when it was.
Last thing I need is another law case in this fucking podcast.
But so we were doing a gig, and you know, so this was current band True, so
which we'll get on to,
So folk trad stuff, quiet enough at times. Sometimes it's just a cappella, you know.
It is.
And then just playing this venue was a big long hall, but then everybody at the back, it was like free into the gig, so there was loads of people there.
Okay.
But nobody was listening.
Yeah.
And so the chat was louder than the actual music. And then so we're like, okay, this is one of the ones where you just get the head down, play through and get out.
Yeah.
And then to make matters worse, halfway through a song, the DJ starts from the
no way
underneath the floor below.
What's he playing? Can you remember?
I think it was Pretty Good Nice.
I was just about to suggest
It's like
that.
Saturday
Swear to
night.
God, I was just about to suggest
Yeah, I
that.
think it's Pretty Good Nice. And so just playing away, trying to get into it, and just you getting chat. You know when a room full of 100 people chatting in a small that's that volume.
And then ultra beat coming from underneath.
Ultra beat from underneath. So
Even I would try and compete with ultra beat. You just go, you know what, lads, go downstairs.
So
Fuck
you
it.
just get the songs done, and you move on. And
That's not too bad. That's not a proper horror story, to be fair.
Yeah, definitely had some.
We had some rough gigs
if
as well.
if more come back to me.
Yeah, no, we'll tell the story later about the one. Do you remember the one we did at my students' union in Cardiff? I'll tell you about it later. We'll get into that. We'll get to that. Yeah, fuck. So yeah, so obviously you were playing in bands. You were going through high school. We weren't playing together at that point. I don't think we ever did. We sang together in the choir and stuff. But
Yeah, because in school we were in the choir together.
But whenever did I can't remember the first time we actually played together.
Must have been because we were living with each other
In Cardiff, yeah.
in Cardiff, and
Must
then
have
we
been Cardiff,
started a
yeah.
trad band together.
Yeah.
Fianna Rua, and that was maybe the first time we were playing together.
It must be
properly,
then, yeah.
Gigging together.
So yeah, you moved over to go to Cardiff University and study
Uh-huh.
music, and I went to the Royal Welsh College of Music to study performing music, and we lived together.
Yeah, so they were.
And God
Around the
rest it,
corner.
92 Harriet Street. It's not. Yeah, I hope that house is burned to the ground. It needs. Someone should have came in there with a bottle of disinfectant and a match. That's all that place needed. It was horrible. We had that. Yeah, but it was great
no
crack.
saving, no
Yeah.
saving something. Yeah, I was actually gigging in Cardiff a few months ago.
Back
with
to
the
the
band. And
back
I
to say hello
hadn't
to the
been
ghosts.
back, and there was a few ghosts.
There is a few ghosts back now. Same for you.
I'm sure people, if you've studied in the city and
I loved
as
Cardiff. To be
a-
fair, I loved it. I was
as a
mad for it.
student, your student days is the best times and your worst times.
Yeah.
And so going back to that place when you were a totally different person, and then walking the streets and seeing it's weird.
Yeah, oh no, I know very well, yeah.
But yeah,
so
no,
we
we
started we started Fianna Rua, what? I was second year, you were first year, because you took a year out.
Yeah.
So yeah, we started Fianna Rua, it was a trad trio, so it was yourself on guitar, me on flute and whistles, and then we had Sorsha for the first year on fiddle.
Yep.
Do you remember our first gig? I do. It's on the internet still.
No, tell me.
I put it on private YouTube, don't worry. I'll take it off now. If anyone wants to see it, you can just ask for the link, but we're so scummy
Where
at
was it?
seeing that. It was in the Cardiff University School of Music. It was actually like a lunchtime concert.
Oh yeah,
It was actually quite good.
That was the thing, because it was I remember that lunchtime recital. So it was mostly the
all
performance in
classical,
Cardiff
yeah.
University of Music. It was mostly classical based, so it was all
Yeah.
classical music, classical singers, and we
Yeah.
went on 3 piece and we blasted a set. Drowsy Maggie, I remember.
Do you know what it was actually? What's thinking about this now as a set is quite adventurous. It was the Kesh jig, the butterfly slip jig, and then into Drowsy Maggie, which is a reel.
Oh yeah,
And that's quite a mixture, jig, slip jig, reel, blasting together.
Yeah.
And we did it from memory as well. We did it properly.
Well, I think people like that because it was totally.
I've got the video of that. It actually isn't that bad. I've got other videos of us playing that are that bad, and I'm not putting them on the internet. But that one was good. But that was also we wore the red things
Fianna
around
Rua,
our.
and then
Well, what does Fianna Rua mean for the people that don't speak Irish here?
the Fianna Rua is
Me.
as a type of it's a deer. It's a Fianna plural.
Yeah.
For deer, and it's just and Rua means red for in certain. It's like a red deer. But
It just sounded
type
cool.
of, it's type, and it sounded cool. So we put a red band.
Yeah, put a red band
around
around it.
People thought we were making a political statement.
Yeah, I think people thought we were either communist or in the IRA. We weren't sure, but yes, we wore a red armband for every single gig. Well, I say every gig, we did it twice, and then we thought because we did it in
your
St.
mum was
Patrick's
like,
Day.
lose the armband.
Yeah. My mum wrote in going, is that the IRA thing? Oh no, it's because we're red deers. And it sounds like teenagers. Mum, you wouldn't understand. We're red deers. You don't. It's not a phase. So we wore them. We dropped them quickly, but that first gig was great, and then we started doing the pubs and clubs around Cardiff, playing gigs quite a lot, doing the whole thing, Irish music everywhere. Well, a couple of banging gigs.
Yeah, one sticks out to me is that Paddy's Day where we did 3 gigs in one day. Well,
I
first
will
of all,
never forget that.
we didn't just do 3 gigs in one day. We found a boron player,
Who was playing in the street that day?
Stephen.
Yeah.
we found a violin player,
And
then he joined the band and
played on the
3
day.
gigs on the day.
Yeah, because I think we busked in the morning in the city, and then we'd walk past. He was busking too. We're like, "Hey, do you want to be in our band?" And he's like, "Yeah." He's like, "No, do you want to be in it now? We're doing 3 gigs. I'll give you 40 quid, but come on, jump in." So he was great.
Yeah,
he was really good. But yeah, that St. Paddy's Day was mad. I think we got I remember getting, for the first gig we played in O'Neill's, I think we got about 300-400 quid for that gig. And at that time I was like, 400 quid between 4 people? I'm minted by. This is it.
And then we did, the O'Neill's. We did.
Did we do Vulcan or something like that? Was that what it was?
The closer.
Yeah.
The closer was
the Irish
Vulcan.
Society. No, it wasn't the Vulcan, it was the other one. No, it was the Vulcan. It was Vulcan. It was. But it was for the Irish Society. Do you remember that gig?
Was that the last one of the night?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember. So Paddy's Day, 3 gigs in, full drink.
Yeah, we were. Yeah.
Pints were going all day.
So obviously, for the Americans, what do the Americans call it? Paddy's Day with 2 T's, don't they? Can you say that again?
Patties.
Yeah, St. Paddy's Day. St. Patrick's Day is the 17th of March. Obviously, when you're Irish and you're living abroad and you've got an Irish band, you're booked up for the whole day. Mm-hmm. So we did 3 gigs busking, but we're having a few drinks because I think the deal with most pubs was they would pay us fuck all, really. They'd pay us nothing, but they would throw in a couple of free drinks for it, a couple of free shots, and then people are buying the band a couple of shots. It was a Saturday that year as well.
Yes, it was all hectic.
So the last gig of the day was the Irish Society arranged at the university, which I still don't really know what that is. I think it's just a bunch of Irish people meeting up and getting drunk. That's not society, that's just Ireland. But so anyway, we went up for them. I remember the deal was they would give us some money, but they give us food as well. And because we had arrived half an hour late, food was gone. Broke my heart. You remember we got there was no buffet left. And I remember we were so drunk getting on stage.
But they were like, you have to go on now.
Yeah, they were like, get on. I was like, we haven't eaten yet. And you promised us food, they would give us food. So we got up on stage. I remember during one of the songs, I think it might have been Wild Rover or something, I was so drunk and I just ordered a plate of chips to the stage and I was eating them during the set. And then at one point,
they were set out beside us. We were like, if you had a break in your instrument during a song,
just
go over to the chips on
and
stage eating chips.
Because the audience were obviously so into it because it was Paddy's Day, Paddy's Day, and they were all Irish, so they were all singing along to the songs. You felt like a rock band at the time. And I remember at some point just stopping playing and taking my phone out and taking a selfie video of me like it was Liam Gallagher at Wembley. I was just, man, check, this is as good as it gets. Me and 4 other lads singing the Wild Rover in a pub, and I was like, this is it, I've made it.
That was a good day.
But we did get quite experimental with the music. I remember we did that gig at Buffalo, is that what you call the bar? And the first set we did was the Glen Road to Carrick set. Do you remember that?
Oh, that was a good one.
And we did this warm-up thing, we sort of improvised, and we it built up, and it got better, and then you went 1, 2, 3, and then we blasted it.
Yeah.
It was great.
I've forgotten all this stuff. But yeah, that was good. It was by the end of because actually both of our first sort of foray into playing trad.
Yeah, mine too, yeah.
Because I had, although I started in rock, I started getting into folk songs and traditional songs, the sort of tail end of school and in university, and then really getting into that, but I never played any. Yeah. Well, played guitar, but I never played tunes or anything like that.
Yeah.
So it was our first time. Was it your first time playing tunes?
Big time, yeah. I've talked about a little bit in this podcast about the flute band tradition, and with that the politics that come with it. But obviously coming around, well, both of us are from pretty Protestant backgrounds here, so trad music was not something we ever grew up with. You wouldn't have learned about it in school. No. You weren't exposed to the Irish language or anything. It was all kind of kept hidden from us. So we got away to.
Faulkner was my first.
I had a music in school. Yeah.
Yeah, he was great.
He was Irish. Yeah, he was Southern Irish. But yeah, I never got to play trad until that point, and now I do it so often. It's such a big part of my life now, playing trad music. But yeah, that was the first time getting into it. I suppose then you went on to do a lot more with it. Mm-hmm. When did True start up?
True, so that's when uni finished, and a few years after that. So I was playing. So 2017, I think, was the year that we started. Started working on. First started getting together and recording stuff. And how that came about was, so I was singing in a group in Dublin after I left uni. We were touring quite a lot, and I met Donal, who's in True, and we just when we were on tour, we just had this interest in doing our own arrangements of folk songs and singing together, and obviously we're singing in choir, so we were singing in harmony. Harmony was a big thing. And then
So yeah, sorry I interrupted, but could you just tell everyone what True is quickly? Give a quick summary of what they are as a group.
So sorry, yeah, True is a trio. It's myself, Donal, and Michael, and we play a mixture of arrangements of folk and trad tunes and original songs.
Yeah.
So it's kind of the instrumentation is I play guitar, electric or acoustic. Donal is singing lead most of the time and playing flutes and whistles, and Michael is on percussion and singing.
Yeah.
So it's big. The harmony is the 3-part harmony is the big thing, and so that's how I met Donal.
Yeah.
And then so how I met Mike is playing, so being from Lisburn and playing in rock bands all the time.
Yeah.
He was actually my neighbour. Well, he moved.
That's
I knew
right,
often. He was actually my guitar teacher for a while, which is weird.
Was he really?
Yeah, he taught me like 1 or 2 lessons, and he was like, "That's
weird." Yeah.
yeah. And so then he actually moved just across the road from me, and then he started asking me to jump in on guitar with on his stuff. And
Mojo Fury as well.
Mojo Fury, Clown Parlour. I was playing. Playing with him, playing guitar, keyboards, and just so I was doing a lot of those sorts of gigs.
It's a big thing at the time as well. Sorry to interrupt, but like the Mojo Fury thing, it really took over for a while. Like that's sort of what I'm talking like 2007 kind of era. Like alternative rock in Belfast was pumping. Man, there was such a scene here.
Yeah.
Mike was on the fort. Mike was doing everything as well.
Yeah.
Like he was So Mojo Fury were a band. Were they all from Lisburn?
Not all from Lisburn, Belfast.
But they had a real cult following for a wee while. They really
maybe one of the best bands ever to come out of Lisburn.
That's fair to say, yeah.
Yeah.
After Fianna Rua.
But around that time, I just said that just the rock in Belfast and Lisburn was just so
it's pumping.
Such high quality, and like bands like Ego, Mojo Fury, 6-Star Hotel, just like and you could go and see them.
Far are they Belfast?
They're North Coast, but
okay,
maybe Belfast based. And then so it started. So it was just being around them, playing all those gigs.
Yeah.
With both Postbox Theory, and then after that with Mike and various guys and stuff was really.
So then you wrote Mike into playing True. Whose idea was that? I assume you and Donal started first, and then you brought Mike in, or what was
so Donal and I were always kind of arranging stuff, and then Donal had this idea of he said, what if we got a third voice in, and somebody maybe doing percussion, and then we just really go for the harmony thing, and then I was like, because Mike I'd thought about Mike, and he'd never really didn't know what his I knew that he didn't have sort of any sort of background in folk or trad and stuff, but neither had I really. So I thought, why not ask him? And I asked him, and he was like, let's just get together. And
plus Mike's a fucking outstanding musician.
Absolutely. So I thought, well, if anybody can do it, then
he definitely can.
So we just got together one night and talked about listening to some music that we all liked and thought could inspire us.
Smoke a few reefers.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, I'm only joking. Reefers are a brand of cigarette. My grandmother watches this. Your man will be watching too. We'll bleep that out. I was smoking reefers watching them.
Yeah, you were through the window, and just talking about what songs we could do. So then that's where the idea of True came from. So True, the actual name comes from a few places, but truer is the Irish word for three, for like a trio.
Three,
But the True are also this mythological idea that there was this trio in the ancient Ulster who would they would kind of be at all the big events of the time, your ceremonies, your battles, your whatever, and poet, bards, so regaling the tales and stuff. But they're said to have their songs, stories also came from the future as well. Yeah. So this kind of strange, the idea of the future in folk and trad music
is very unique.
Isn't something that you, it's always about things being old.
Oh, of course, yeah.
But this idea of the future was really inspiring to us in that way. So we sort of used that. Yeah, that was the basis for the group.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's in terms
And
of
also-
music, that's been my main thing.
yeah,
the
so it's
last
spelled-
few years.
It's spelled TRU with an accent, the fada,
Yeah.
or the U. We've talked about this before. Have you resolved the issue of getting searched for? Because it was a really hard thing to get you guys searched on like social media and Spotify and stuff. Spotify hated the fada, didn't they?
Yeah, it's fine now because
Yeah.
you know all that stuff sorts stuff out because you know the name grows and
Yeah, so that, yeah.
So I haven't experienced.
I think it was at the start, yeah. But just in case anyone wants to look you guys up, which they will, obviously, it's TRU with an accent, all in caps as well. Although I think that makes a difference, yeah. And good luck getting on Spotify then. See if Spotify's feeling.
No, Spotify's pumping these days.
It is.
So
well.
we've got we just released our second album.
Second
there.
album was out what, last week?
2 weeks.
2 weeks?
Actually, it's actually a month.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Fucker, you are.
A month ago. So
How are you feeling about the response to the second record?
Yeah, great. We had so the album came out last month, and we had an Irish tour to promote that. Which
That's
was
right,
great,
yeah.
And that ended in a Belfast show in the Duncairn, and that was great.
Great
That was
idea.
one of our best gigs. Sell out. Just some of the best. Yeah, I think best gig we've probably ever played. It was great. Felt really good.
Yeah.
And yeah, the response that we've been getting from the album's brilliant.
Yeah.
Because it was different in terms of, so our first album was released in 2021. No
Great
Fixed
album,
Abode,
yeah.
Featuring certain
Yeah, I know. There's a certain track on it
Lisburn,
that's very good.
track 10.
It is track 10,
Features
isn't
a
it?
certain Lisburn flute player.
Yeah, I always forget what track it is, but Elna always reminds me of which
Track
one it is.
10.
I always forget, yeah. But the track's called Track 10 as well, isn't it? It's a concept album. Here, speaking of which, sorry, Elna, do you reckon you give me a pint? Thank you.
No, I'm dead on. Yeah, so
So you have the debut album, that was No Fixed Abode 2021. Yeah.
Fixed Abode, yeah. And so so I think the idea for going back, so we had the idea for the band, and then when we started first recording the songs, we all started to look into the local songs from where we're from.
Yeah, but you're saying local, you mean very local at this point?
Yeah, as in like Ballandary songs.
Yeah, how do we describe Ballandary to Americans? What's the American equivalent of Ballandary?
Parish.
Yeah, so
the townland of Ballandary.
yeah, so Lisburn is a small town in itself that's outside Belfast. That's where we're both from. Ballandary is, how many people are in Ballandary?
Well, upper and lower, or either or.
Yeah, there's two
both.
parts of Ballandary, isn't there?
Exactly.
And the upper Ballandary is actually the one that geographically is lower, I think, as well, isn't it? Someone told me that once, but that, yeah.
Geographically
Someone
lower?
told me that in the
As
pub.
in
That
like
could be.
sea level lower.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Okay.
Genuinely, because they measure it. Yeah, Ballandary, how many people are we talking? A couple of hundred?
Well, it's just two villages, isn't it?
Yeah, so 500 maybe?
Something like that. So, but it's more like the land around it.
Yeah.
The area.
But when you say, going local for your songs, that is going local. Like, that's going to like a radius of like a couple of miles.
Yeah.
Out in the arse of nowhere, finding songs out there.
But you'd be surprised how many things we find.
Well, tell me through the process of like, so you sit there and you think, right, I want to get a song from Ballandary. I'm from Ballandary, I want to get a song there. How do you even start the process of finding songs from there?
Well, one thing is just go on Google and you go Ballandary songs, and that's one way. And
fuck all
that
comes up.
won't get you very far. But so there's a song called "'Tis Pretty to Be in Ballandary."
That's a gorgeous song,
I
yeah.
think.
I've heard you sing it, I think that's it, but yeah.
Yeah, that Clancy Brothers did that one, so that wasn't too hard to find.
Right.
And but also getting in touch with local people who would be into their song collecting and things like that. And they
When you say song collected, sorry, just clarify what that means exactly.
So basically just researching and discovering
Yeah.
folk songs from a
Thank you
particular
very much for the service. Thank you.
from a
She hates me on
particular area, and then
Yeah. But when you say collected, like how do they physically collect it? Like do they write down the words? Do they write down the chords?
it can just be singing it and recording it. It
Yeah.
can be writing it down. It's just there's so many. I think the main idea is to have the knowledge of it and
Yeah,
perhaps
and be able to pass it on.
to produce. Well, for me, as a singer, to be able to sing it, to have it in your memory, to lock it in, because that's a real skill.
Yeah,
that's, that you'd find these old song collectors that the amount of songs they can hold in their head and produce
It's
them.
incredible.
And it's a skill that, just think about, like, say your granny who knows all the birthdays of all the family.
Yeah.
It's that idea that that skill isn't utilised so much these days, of having to remember stuff.
Just to give a ballpark figure, like roughly, song collector, how many songs do they hold in their head at one time?
Hundreds.
Like hundreds of songs.
Hundreds, yeah.
That is mental.
Yeah, I went to see a gig. The great singer and song collector Len Graham, actually in right here where we are
In the Sunflower?
In the Sunflower, yeah.
Oh wow, okay.
And he was doing a talk first in the black box about his life in song.
Right.
And he was great because he would go back. He went through his life.
Okay.
And then he would tell you about his life, and then he'd stop and go, oh, and this is when I learned that song, and then he would sing that song, and then I went here and met this fella, and he taught me this song.
And that's part of the performance then? That's cool as fuck. I like that.
But some songs he only half remembered or something like that,
Yeah. And
so, but it's just I suppose it's when the song becomes part of your life then, your life story about where you so then that was the inspiration to find these songs around.
Do you remember the first song that you sort of found that you used? Well, the early True stuff was?
Yeah, that was pretty to be in Ballad.
Yeah,
that was. We haven't actually recorded that yet because I haven't found the right. It's a great song to sing.
It's great solo, yeah.
And we haven't found the right. Maybe haven't found the right arrangement for the full band. But
that could be an album 3.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Probably.
And what about like songs from? Obviously, Mike is from Ballad as well, or he lived there for a long time. What about Donald? What about around his area? Did you manage to find local songs from? Is he from North Coast or?
No, he's from Mornpoint. So he had.
That's right.
So Newry, Morn, Mike's area. So there's a wealth of songs.
There must be loads down there, yeah.
Yeah, so we were so sort of all the songs that we found, a lot of them got used and recorded for the first album. So Bonnie Portmore is another Ballad one
great tune,
from the Loch, and that's a beautiful song, and that's from like the 1600s. I mean, actually maybe early 1700s.
And these songs are purely passed on through oral tradition then, and you just pick them up and you hope to survive.
Yeah.
Well,
that sort of shows the strength of the songs, and that it shows the strength of the tradition in that a song has been remembered successfully down the line.
That's incredible, yeah.
For
a couple of hundred years.
A few hundred years, and hasn't been forgotten.
Do you ever wonder about the songs that maybe have been forgotten, or even just about been forgotten? Something that maybe you're a generation away from getting the whole thing, or have you ever came across someone that maybe remembers half a song and you haven't quite been able to piece the whole thing together?
Yeah, and that's part of it. You're
stuck then. That's it. Yeah.
Sometimes you just get a scrap of something, or like, you maybe get a melody and maybe like half a verse or just one verse, and there's it's only a fragment, but there's no real way of. But suppose then that's when that comes into. You can just create your own. You can just
Yeah, we get the license to do that then. Yeah.
Not that you don't need the license. Just yourself. Just finish the song yourself.
Okay.
Because that's we think of traditional. Going back to this idea of past and future, and that singing these old songs, somebody had to write them.
True.
So then half of True stuff is original songs that we write, so we feel that's an equally important part of tradition as well. So we're learning these old songs, but we're writing new songs, and it's sort of like two sides of the coin.
And when you go to write new songs, do you try to pick the same kind of subject matter that you're influenced by, or is it kind of free rein? Like when I think of subject matter of Irish music, I'm thinking love, loss, melancholy seems to be a pretty big one in Irish culture. Nature, obviously, supernatural to an extent.
Absolutely.
Would you guys be writing the same kind of themes, or do you write about modern life, or do you?
Well, it's funny that, so our original songs would definitely be inspired by the themes and the stories that we find in songs and folk tales and mythology and things like that, definitely. But you'd be surprised how you can hear a song from 1700s and then you're like, oh shite,
you can relate to it.
That's exactly how I feel right now.
Yeah.
Or that's still going on. Because Bonnie Portmore is a song about pretty much deforestation and the sort of destruction of the natural world.
True, yeah.
And then, you know, it's still the same.
Do you know what song actually, I think my favourite True record or True song has always been, apart from track 10 of the first album, is County Down. That's a gorgeous song.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a popular recorded song, or is that something you guys have sort of dug up?
That's actually not. That song was written in the 90s.
Really?
Yeah. So that's the thing. That's an interesting one. So County Down is a song in our first album.
There you are. I didn't know
and
that.
that was written by great Tommy Sands.
Yeah.
Sands family.
Did you get to meet him as well at some point?
Oh yeah, we'd be friendly with Tommy. He's great. He's been a great supporter of True, and he's been great to us. And County Down was actually the first song that True ever recorded together. Up in Derry, we recorded that. But yeah, so
is that the one with the live video as well? The video on YouTube?
There's probably a video or two. Yeah,
okay.
There's probably something else.
Yeah, there's a verse on YouTube that I absolutely adore. But it's not live. Yeah, it's not live. Sorry,
Yeah, we did like a music video, but that was like that's like an old version of County Down because we re-recorded it for the album.
I know we did, yeah, because it's on the first record, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think it's actually might be track 9 or 11. I always end up listening to it directly before or after. I think.
I can't remember what track it is. I thought it was maybe the last. No, it's not the last one.
It's here, yeah.
But that goes to show you that. But when we've probably played that song at every gig we've done, and people always say, people who maybe aren't familiar, always think that's a traditional song.
Yeah, I would be convinced until about 5 minutes ago. I thought it was as well. Because I know the lyrics are basically around someone who's leaving Ireland, isn't it, to go to London? I was guessing, yeah.
And but that shows the strength of the song, and that people just assume it's
hundreds of years old, yeah.
And that's just the credit to Tommy Sands, who wrote a great song. But that's so and we.
So your song, right? Yeah.
I think in Ireland, we all know somebody who, well, like yourself, who's left Ireland, and that song just means so much to so many people. We all know somebody who's not at home this Christmas, or is away, or is left.
Yeah, it breaks my fucking heart, that song, man.
And it's and that relates obviously to Irish history as well. The amount of
yeah, I absolutely fucking adore that song. It's always one of my favourites. Yeah,
I do.
But yeah, it breaks my heart listening to it. I have to be very careful with that one.
Yeah, actually, what's this placed on the table?
Oh, here, who left that sitting there?
So this actually is the wee book. Take a look at it.
Sorry, can the listeners and the viewers can they purchase a copy of this?
So this is we actually got this just for the last tour there. This is No Fixed Abode songbook that we created. So it's all the stories.
It's incredible, yeah.
And yeah, so it just tells you all and there's sort of our relationship to the songs, where we got them, and then some other songs as well. So there's Bonnie Portmore talks about, and County Down, and
yeah.
But we were selling these at the tour, and you actually get these on our Bandcamp as well, if you want.
Oh, there you are, yeah. We'll get a chance to plug later as well.
Yeah,
I'm going to plug this heavy.
But
what's your sorry if you don't mind me asking, what's your favourite story that you came across in a song? Is there anything that particularly stands out, or anything particularly unique? Have you ever came across a wee ghost story?
Plenty of ghost stories, but there's actually one song at the minute that sticks out because it's one that it's a song called The Mole Catcher. It's
okay. A mole, is it like a wee hairless rat?
Yeah. So it's an English song, but it's about, the story is, it's one of those real like weird spooky songs where it's it's not spooky, it's just odd in that the story is the mole catcher, right? Yeah. He goes out for his day to do catch moles, and as he's away out catching moles, a fella comes round to see his wife. So his wife's having an affair, but the mole catcher knows. So one day he waits waits in the shed outside. He pretends he's away off, but he waits in the shed, and your man comes in, and he places a mole trap for him, and it ends up the lyric is he traps him by a sensitive part of his body.
Oh, I can imagine he does. Like,
and the guy, and then he demands money for it, and the guy's like, no bother, I'll pay the money because it's worth it.
Yeah, I'll pay the invoice. Yeah,
I'll pay him because it's worth it. And how does it end?
We're all here. We're all waiting.
You'll have to just go and look up.
I'll have to look up the song. Yeah, talking about his
but it's not a very happy ending. But you just find wee songs like that.
I love that kind of stuff, man. That's so good.
Yeah, and there is great. On the first album, there's a song called Aragolga by Licleadu, which is On My Way to Dublin, and it concerns man's. So he's got a sick wife, and so in those days, this is the 1700s, and he's walking. This is the Mourne Mountains, and he's walking to Dublin for medicine.
Yeah. That's a fair walk.
It's a brave walk. So he's walking along, and then who does he spy but a fair maiden?
Oh, aye.
On the road, and she's
yeah.
like, "Who are you? What are you doing? Where are you going?" And he's like, "Get out of my way! I'm on my way to Dublin. My wife's sick, and need to get the medicine for her." Blah 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 blah. And she's like, "Sure, forget about her. She's dead already. I bet you. Just see these woods here. Come in here, and I'll show you a good time."
Oh, aye.
And he's like, "No, I love my wife. Blah 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 blah. I can't do that to her." And then in that instant, because he revealed his true love, she appears. His wife appears in front of him, and it works out that his sick wife in bed was a changeling. He was just like a sick fairy. He's come to the earthly realm.
I've heard about these changelings as well. Yeah.
To die, and that. So he's like, "Oh, happy day." So.
Here, pass that test. Yeah. On that one, yeah.
Yeah. So just all these.
What do you reckon would have happened if he didn't?
Death.
Yeah, she would have got me out. Banshee.
Death by fairy.
Well, here on ferries, I was talking about this recently because I had a friend Jakob over in Ireland here. He was asking about ghost stories, and then we were talking about fairies, and we were saying like fairies, like obviously in popular culture and American culture, fairies are wonderful wee things that look after things. Like Cinderella, we think of fairies, and we think of
Tinkerbell.
Yeah, Tinkerbell's a fairy, but in Ireland, different beast over here.
Yeah. I
once heard a story. I don't know if this is true now, but I heard down in the West Coast that there was a rumour that existed well into the 1980s was if you had a child born with like a physical deformity of some kind, the theory was that the fairies had stolen your real child and made a copy of it and sent the copy back, and that your child was a poorly made copy, and that's why it had a physical abnormality.
And then that's where the phrase comes from, away with the fairies.
No way.
Yeah.
Seriously? Because that means you're a bit... Yeah, it's a phrase in Ireland, yeah, that you say if someone's away with the fairies. Yeah, I remember a friend coming over once said, because we'd heard that my grandmother had said that phrase about someone. She loved saying that phrase. My grandmother said, "Oh, he's been away with the fairies," and the image I had at the time, my friend was saying the same thing. It's like it's a very lovely image that the fairies have taken him away and they've accompanied him off the
a different sort of thing. But yeah, that's the.
So what's the kind of themes that you've got on the new album of your original stuff?
Well, we kind of, in terms of the sound of it, we branched into more like the Americana influence we hadn't really done on the first album. So like Crosby, Stills and Nash influence and all that sort of stuff. And so we kind of were looking into American sort of Appalachian folk music as well. So for obviously there's the Appalachian music, that sort of area of the United States of America was a lot of Scottish, Irish, English people going over and bringing their songs with them, and then sort of playing their songs with new instruments, like the banjo came from the African Americans, and then the combination of those things, and then like half remembering songs from the old country and playing them.
And you get a lovely mishmash of the two.
Yeah, and so there's an amazing sort of world of music from that part of the world.
So you've tapped into that a bit.
Oh yeah.
In terms of the sound, or in terms of the actual themes of your songs?
The story, like the themes, stories. Like there's a song called "The Ballad of Billy Jones."
Yeah.
And that Bill Jones is a character that crops up in The Wild Bill Jones is a song in that sort of world, crops up, and we just borrow characters.
And what does Bill Jones do, or what's his crack?
Well, it's like this, it's just a name really, but it comes with it. There's all the, in these folk songs and tales, there's with a name or with a character comes all these sort of, like there's a history to that character.
Yeah.
And that those so Bill Jones, so the Wild Bill Jones in that song, is he's a bad boy.
Oh, wow.
But we sort of give him we sort of more so just took the name and sort of the Ballad of Billy Jones that we wrote was like a unrequited love sort of song.
Okay.
But so the original songs, we tapped into some Greek mythology as well for a song called Aphrodite. Because obviously in Ireland we have such a rich tradition of mythology and such a strong, but the Greek stuff as well.
It's mental.
Would blow your mind.
Yeah.
I've been reading loads of it over the last few years.
So was that your influence, you reckon? Did you bring that?
No, we're all interested in it.
Okay.
But that song Aphrodite that I'm talking about, Donal brought that song to the band, one that he started writing, and then we finished. So we just we like to kind of borrow influences for wherever it feels like related and relevant to us, we just work away.
On a quick note on Donal as well, I remember I joined you guys for your tour a couple of years ago. Do you remember? I joined you in Lyon.
Oh yeah.
You remember, what was that tour for? Was it for the first record, or was it just a general kind of tour?
That was just a one-off thing. We were playing some gigs in Lyon for some reason. We were playing the Lyon GAA.
Oh, do you know GAA club? Oh, you did. That's right. You played a couple
Lyon
of days
GAA,
before, right?
like end of year do thing.
That's right. Yeah. Because I joined you at the Guitar Makers gig.
Yes, and then we did this lovely gig in with yours.
But yeah, speaking of Donal, I just want to say that I think Donal has the most gorgeous voice I've ever heard in my life. It's unbelievable. But you see, when you see it live, people melt in the audience at Donal's voice. Absolutely melt. So the biggest thing I could say about True is go and listen purely for, obviously Zach's great on it, but Donal's voice is something else. It is something else. Can we tell the story about what happened at Lyon that night?
What happened?
Down by the river. Can I tell that story a little bit?
Yeah, you go first.
Like, you guys look fine at it. You guys don't come out of it badly.
Okay, you go first.
It's my favourite. I honestly totally forgot about this story until I was just talking to you and I had a flashback moment of it. So True were doing this tour. It was a great tour, and obviously the great gig. It was a very intimate gig in a Guitar Makers down in Lyon. Brilliant gig. I think I played the first half, and then the second half you guys did more, I can't remember, improv some stuff.
Cool.
Yeah, it was more like an open session kind of thing for the first half. I think something like that. And then the second half, you guys did a couple of your tracks. We obviously, being a French gig, get a couple of glasses of wine and all that kind of stuff with it. And we were staying the night in Lyon in some Airbnb, I think somewhere, or I can't remember. Anyway, we had a couple of glasses of wine. It was the end of your tour. It's we'll go out and celebrate a wee bit. And we were trying to shift. You guys were trying to shift the last few CDs and stuff you had from the tour, because obviously you have all your tour CDs with you. Your last date, you don't want to bring them home, so you just shift them off, buy them for a couple of euro. And we were down in a park at one point. We're singing. You guys were singing for them live. So I got do you want to hear a song? They sing live and they throw it. And people buy CD. It was great. It actually worked, a treat. But there was one point in the do you remember this?
By the river,
yeah, went down to the river. I have never laughed as much in my life. Went down to the river, and obviously I had a few drinks at this point. and some fella was walking down the river like a Tuesday night or something, and by 2 a.m, these 3 lads start singing for him. They go, "Oh, we're selling an album." He's like, "You can pull by." He's like, "No, we're selling an album. We sell album. We sing for you, okay?" And he go, "Yeah." So they sang a beautiful song. It was down by the river in Lyon. It was gorgeous. It was still water. The moonlight was just hitting off it. It was gorgeous. It was so poetic. And they finished with the last chord, and they tailed it off beautifully. And the guy stood there stunned, I think is the right word. He was holding a wee plastic bag with his groceries in it, wee old fella. He's got stunned, and he sat in silence. He just looked at them and went, 6? And they went, "What? Sorry?" He went, "6? And he go, "What do you mean?" He went, "You want 6? And they go, "No. And then, "We don't want 6. Do you want album?" And he's go, "No, 6. And you go, "No, album. We sell album." Do you go, No, I don't want album. I want 6. But the moment, and I never laughed as hard if you guys finished in the beautiful chorus. I was going, 6.
Yeah, because we didn't realise we had sort of wandered into a popular cruising spot.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Selling our album, so well, that's what you get. Well, he was
You're the only one selling
he
music.
said, "No, thank you, sir." And then he was like, "No problem," and away he went.
Oh, it was so funny. And
then after that, we ended up in a skip or something.
Yeah, I think Mike ended up in a skip.
Because some bookshop was throwing out a lot of books into the skip, so we dived in trying to find.
Tell you what, this takes the glamour away of the band, doesn't it? We tell stories like this. Things aren't as glamorous anymore. But yeah, well, I think we've got through a lot there. We've been talking for 51 fucking minutes, man. That is wild. Obviously, this is not really much of a Flute episode, which I'll say in the intro when I get on to afterwards, but it's an Irish music episode, which I really enjoy, and yeah, we might branch into that in the future a little bit more. But to talk about the Flute, if you want to make a Flute connection, yeah, the first album, No Fixed Abode, is on Spotify. It's on streaming services. It's everywhere. Track 10, whatever it is, features me.
Gillish Gilly.
Is that what it is? I could never remember what it's called. The second album, Eternity Year, Near Eternity, I always forget. Eternity Near, yeah. I've had 3 pints, I always forget. I've got it written down somewhere. I fucking listened to it. Anyway, it's just out. It's on all your streaming services. Bandcamp as well.
Absolutely, buy it on Bandcamp. Get a wee songbook as well.
And if you go to buy it on Bandcamp, you would recommend on a Friday as well. Isn't that when the artists get 100% of the...
One Friday per month they do that.
Ah, okay.
So,
okay.
No, I just whenever's
yeah.
good.
Well worth a listen. I will stick a version of something in. I'll throw something at the end here to let people listen to. Have you got a track in particular you'd like to recommend to anyone, or you'd like me to stick in?
Well, what we've been talking about it, why not track 10 on No Fixed Abode, Gilly Shiguli,
yeah.
Hear the Man himself.
Yeah, right, we'll put that in then. Anything else we need to talk about, or are we done? We're going for a few more pints here.
Well, anything on your list there?
Oh, I've got 3. Well, yeah. 4th point, maybe we'll leave that out. The 5th point, maybe we'll leave that out. That'll be for the Patreon only.
Just see local stories. I'm just thinking about The Digger.
Oh,
for all the
Digger.
Lisburn heads.
Oh, I have to get back into that, man. I was on that last night. Yeah, so The Digger, from what I understand, it's a pseudonym for a guy that wrote for the... Did he write for the Star for a while as well?
I don't know what he wrote for, but
blog.
it's its own blog, and it's just brilliant stories from around Lisburn.
Yeah.
And there's...
Good few ghost stories in that one.
Absolutely. Great ghost stories, great just sort of local stories. But he also has an article on this great singer and song collector from Ballad, Robert Cinnamon. And he was live. He was born mid 1800s, died maybe 19
Yeah.
30s, 40s, 50s maybe. And he was such a renowned and respected folk singer of his time and of that area. We've sort of, he's been an inspiration for a few of our songs. But they got like the BBC and RT at the time came around to record him in his home. It was that sort of revered, and I think more Ballad people should know about Robert Cinnamon. He actually has an album on Spotify called
There you are.
You Ramblin' Boys of Pleasure.
Wow.
But he's singing he's an old fella at this stage.
And it's all unaccompanied stuff, or?
Yep, just him singing in his...
blasting away.
Just blasting the tunes out.
Robert Cinnamon.
But there's an article on The Digger called The Ballandary Balladeer, or something like that. And so that's...
Yeah, I can't remember which one of us stumbled across The Digger first. I remember we talked about it. I found it down a really deep Lisburn internet hole one day, and he's got a wealth of ghost stories about Lisburn.
You don't know who he is?
No idea. No, I think he might be dead, touch wood. Not that I'm hoping he's dead. I hope he's not.
If you're out there, the digger, get in touch.
Yeah, maybe he's watching this podcast waiting for us to call him out. He actually wrote a great story as well because he used to branch outside Lisburn as well, but he wrote the story about the woman that was buried twice. Did you ever read that one?
I know the story, but I haven't read his.
He did a thing on so
where was that?
I think it was actually near Lurgan direction. It was more out that way.
Somebody from Lurgan was telling me. Actually, that was only a couple of weeks ago. She mentioned the one who's buried twice, and I was like,
I can't remember her name. So yeah, they buried her, but she wasn't actually dead yet, was it? And then she got out of the grave.
How'd she get out?
I can't remember reading about this, but I remember she got out of the grave and went back to her family home and knocked the door, and her husband was so shocked I think he died of a heart attack as well. And then she outlived him, and then
they just chucked him in her.
Yeah, chucked him in the grave. Yeah, and then she died again, obviously, because she do. And that time she did die properly. She got buried twice. Yeah. That was a very poor telling of that story, but there is a very. Check out the digger.
Yeah, the digger's great.
I don't even know if you can find the digger. Can you Google him?
I was on the digger last night.
Yeah, there you are.
At 5 a.m.
There you are. We passed like that. Yeah, that's why we're so tired today. Anything else we have to talk about? No, we've plugged through quite a lot.
Check out True. You know the main man himself. Check out the digger.
Yeah, Zach, it's been a pleasure.
Absolutely.
We're in the Sunflower here, so I've got another one to record. I'm going to go for a glass of water so I can think of myself. Thank you very much, guys, and we'll talk soon.
Ghoulisha ghoulie ho hoodity ho 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 Ghoularana ning ni leho